A birthday celebration turned tragedy. The shocking murder of Deputy Shamone Duncan. The sound of gunfire shattered the night air, cutting through the rhythmic pulse of music and laughter on the rooftop of Aziza Restaurant and Lounge in Providenciales, Turks and Caicos. Moments earlier, Cook County Sheriff's Deputy Shamone Duncan had been celebrating her sister's birthday. A joyful reunion, a brief escape from the rigors of law enforcement back home in Chicago. But in a matter of seconds, that celebration transformed into horror. A stray bullet struck Shamone, ending her life in a foreign land, leaving her family in devastation and a community reeling with questions. Shamone Duncan, 50, was a woman of resilience, dedication, and unwavering commitment to justice. Born and raised in Chicago, she grew up in a family that instilled strong values of hard work and service. Her father, a factory worker, and her mother, a nurse, taught her the importance of diligence and compassion. She knew early on that she wanted to make a difference in her community, and law enforcement became her calling. From an early age, Shamone exhibited a strong sense of leadership and responsibility. She excelled in school, balancing academics with extracurricular activities such as track and field and student government. She was a natural protector, always stepping up for friends and classmates who needed help. After graduating, Shamone pursued a career in law enforcement, enrolling in police academy training, where she quickly stood out for her discipline and dedication. Over her 20-year career with the Cook County Sheriff's Office, she became a mentor to younger officers, a voice of reason during tense situations, and a pillar of strength for her colleagues. She had a reputation for treating inmates with respect, believing that rehabilitation was just as important as enforcement. Her commitment to justice extended beyond her job. She volunteered at youth mentorship programs, speaking to at-risk teens about making better choices and staying on the right path. For over 2 decades, Shamone served with the Cook County Sheriff's Office, most recently assigned to Cermak Health Services within the Cook County Department of Corrections. She was known for her professionalism and her compassionate approach to the individuals she encountered, both within the justice system and in her neighborhood. Colleagues described her as a dependable officer, someone who could handle high-stress situations with calm authority. But outside of work, Shamone was a devoted mother and grandmother. She had 2 daughters, a son, and a beloved granddaughter who brought endless joy to her life. Her children looked up to her as their guiding light, someone who provided them with wisdom, strength, and unconditional love. She worked tirelessly to ensure that they had every opportunity to succeed, often balancing her demanding job with attending school events, cheering them on at sports games, and making time for family traditions. Beyond her immediate family, Shamone was a pillar of support for her extended relatives. She often hosted family gatherings, where laughter and warmth filled her home. She was the one who remembered every birthday, every milestone, and made sure that no one ever felt alone. Her sense of community extended beyond blood ties. Neighbors and friends often turned to her for advice, encouragement, and a listening ear. Her greatest joy came from spending time with her granddaughter, whom she adored. Whether it was baking together, reading bedtime stories, or simply taking walks in the park, those moments were priceless to her. Family was at the center of everything she did, and that love was felt by all who knew her. She was a protector, a nurturer, and a leader within her close-knit community. So, when the opportunity arose to take a brief vacation to Turks and Caicos to celebrate her sister's birthday, Shamone jumped at the chance. She saw it as a moment to relax, unwind, and cherish the company of her. The night of January 18, 2025, was meant to be a highlight of their trip. The rooftop of Aziza Restaurant and Lounge was lively with music, filled with the aroma of Caribbean cuisine and buzzing with the energy of celebration. Shamone and her family enjoyed drinks, shared stories, and reveled in the warm tropical breeze. But downstairs, trouble was brewing. Witnesses later recalled a heated argument between individuals near the entrance of the lounge. Tensions flared as voices rose, with onlookers sensing that the situation was spiraling out of control. Security attempted to intervene, but the aggression between the 2 groups had reached a boiling point. Suddenly, one of the individuals pulled out a firearm, causing panic among the crowd. The first into the air as a warning, but within seconds, additional fire erupted in multiple directions. The ensuing chaos was pure bedlam. Guests fled in terror, some ducking behind tables while others desperately searched for cover. Restaurant staff frantically locked doors to shield patrons inside, while others tried to call the police. Eyewitnesses described the sheer panic as people trampled over one another in their desperation to escape. The gunshots echoed through the street, creating a scene of complete mayhem. As the bullets flew indiscriminately, Shamone Duncan, still on the rooftop, enjoying the birthday celebration, was tragically caught in the crossfire. The rooftop, once filled with laughter and music, became a scene of horror as she collapsed.
Vacation turned into a tragedy for a Cook County Sheriff's deputy. 50-year-old Shamone Duncan was on vacation when she was killed. Tonight, we remember her life and service.
She's looking for different destinations so we can go travel, celebrate life. We're not going to be able to do none of it.
Tawana Collins is remembering her friend of 36 years, 50-year-old Shamone Duncan, killed while on vacation. This is video of first responders and the Serious Crime Unit responding Saturday night in Turks and Caicos. A dream celebration ended in heartbreak as 2 people were killed, including a highly respected Cook County Sheriff's deputy who spent more than 2 decades serving her community. This photo captures what should have been a celebration. Duncan, seen here on the far left in a green dress, was in Turks and Caicos with family and friends to celebrate her sister's 40th birthday. The group traveled over 1,600 miles for the occasion. What started as a joyous getaway took a devastating turn when they mistook the sound of fire for fireworks. Duncan, a 21-year veteran of the Cook County Sheriff's Office, was struck by a stray bullet while dining at Aziza Restaurant and Bar.
Her family's joyful night turned into an unthinkable nightmare, their screams piercing through the chaos below. Meanwhile, downstairs, another victim, Dario Stubbs, was also struck. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, but the damage had already been done. The street was littered with shattered glass, overturned furniture, and stunned onlookers trying to make sense of the devastation that had just unfolded. Chaos erupted. People screamed, ducked for cover, and ran in all directions. It was unclear at first where the shots were coming from, and the confusion only added to the terror. Some diners threw themselves under tables, while others attempted to shield their loved ones. The gunfire was relentless, echoing through the night as people desperately sought safety. Waitstaff abandoned their posts, some sprinting for back exits while others tried to guide patrons toward cover. A few individuals attempted to help the wounded, using tablecloths and napkins to stem the bleeding of those hit. The streets outside the restaurant filled with panicked civilians running for their lives, unsure whether the was over or if another wave of violence would follow. In the frenzy, sprayed through the air, indiscriminately finding their targets. Windows shattered, sending shards of glass flying, while vehicles parked nearby were riddled with holes. The chaos lasted mere moments, but to those present, it felt like an eternity. An inescapable nightmare unfolding in real time. On the rooftop, Shamone Duncan was hit. A stray bullet struck her, and she collapsed. Her family rushed to her side, frantically trying to stop the bleeding, pleading for help. But in a cruel twist of fate, the woman who had dedicated her life to protecting others could not be saved. Meanwhile, the violence downstairs had also claimed another life. A 30-year-old local man, Dario Stubbs, was killed, and a third victim, a 29-year-old man, suffered serious injuries. The Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, RT and CIPF, quickly launched an investigation into the incident. Acting Commissioner Rodney Adams addressed the public, stating that there was no evidence to suggest that Shamone or the other victims were the intended targets. Instead, they were innocent bystanders caught in a senseless act of violence. The crime scene was chaotic, and information was initially scarce. Witnesses were reluctant to come forward, a common challenge in violent crime investigations. Authorities suspected that the shooting was linked to the ongoing surge in gang-related violence that had plagued the islands in recent years. In 2024 alone, there had been 33 reported homicides in Turks and Caicos, nearly surpassing the record-breaking 34 murders in 2022. The once peaceful Caribbean paradise had seen an uptick in violent crime, much of it attributed to gang disputes and the drug trade. But even amid this crime wave, the killing of an American law enforcement officer sent shockwaves through both the local and international communities. As the investigation continued, authorities focused on identifying the shooter responsible for the attack. They appealed to the public for information, knowing that someone had to have seen something. But as days passed without any major leads, frustration grew. Back in Chicago, news of Shamone Duncan's death devastated her colleagues and loved ones. The Cook County Sheriff's Office released a statement mourning the loss of a dedicated public servant and extending condolences to her grieving family. For Shamone's children and siblings, the pain was immeasurable. She had been the glue that held their family together, the protector who always put others before herself. Now, they were left to pick up the pieces and demand answers. Her sister, who had been celebrating her birthday that night, struggled with overwhelming guilt. The trip was meant to be a joyous occasion, a time for love and laughter. Instead, it had turned into a nightmare she would never wake up from. As the family made arrangements to bring Shamone's body home, they also began their fight for justice. They pleaded with both U.S. and Turks and Caicos authorities to ensure that her death would not be just another statistic. The murder of a high-ranking law enforcement officer on vacation highlighted a growing issue in Turks and Caicos, rising violent crime and its impact on tourism. The islands rely heavily on visitors, with tourism accounting for a significant portion of their economy. But increasing reports of shootings, armed robberies, and threatened to deter travelers from visiting. In response to Shamone's murder, the government vowed to take stronger action against criminal activity. The RT and CIPF increased patrols and worked with international law enforcement agencies to crack down on violent crime. However, many questioned whether these efforts would be enough. For travelers, the tragic case of Shamone Duncan was a stark reminder that even in paradise, danger can lurk in unexpected places. The question that lingers: how do we prevent another tragedy like this from happening? For now, all her loved ones can do is fight for justice and hold on to the memories of a woman who gave so much to those around her. As the sun sets over the beaches of Turks and Caicos, life moves forward. But for the family of Shamone Duncan, the wound remains open, a painful reminder of a celebration that turned into a nightmare and a life stolen far too soon. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Shamone Duncan during this heartbreaking time. May her memory live on in the hearts of those who loved her, and may justice be served for her untimely passing.